All right, Power Ranger fans. Now, first off, what a day. Like, it is my birthday, August 29th. Like, I've always been excited with the concept that, oh my gosh, I share the same birthday as Michael Jackson. But then it was announced earlier this week that August 28th, the day before my birthday, is now officially National Power Ranger Day. And I mean, that is pretty dang awesome for a kid born in the 90s. I was born in 91, so what does that make me, like 2 years older than Power Rangers or something like that? And that's pretty dang cool. But I've always been a fan. I'm 27 now, but I've always been a fan. I feel like I did kind of fade out of the series around the days of now, if I were to say what was the last season that I watched quote unquote religiously, like I watched it like every time it came on the TV, I believe probably was Overdrive, which was a bad way to end the series in my mind. I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, that Overdrive used to come on Jetix on like the Disney, I guess you could say, like I call Jetix like the action version of Disney. And then RPM came on the Disney Channel, like, early Saturday mornings, which was probably why I didn't know much about it, because at that point I remember being in high school and I really wasn't about getting up early on the weekends due to high school meaning more homework. I think at that point I was taking like college level classes, so I definitely know I was sleeping in on the weekends at that point. So I didn't know much about RPM, which was very sad because RPM is like one of my favorite seasons of Power Rangers now, going back and watching it a few times. Very good storytelling. But when it came to Power Rangers, then moving to Nickelodeon, I was, again, in college at that point, and I really didn't have an interest. I was like at that point where I just knew what I liked and didn't like. I was at that age where it's like, okay, I'm kind of finally becoming the person I know, the man I'm going to be for the rest of my life, because I'm going to be stuck in certain ways. Not saying I can't change, but you know what I mean there. But let's see here. When it comes down to Power Rangers, I have a nephew. He's 8 and he loves Power Rangers as well. I know he watched Samurai, Super Samurai, Mega Force, Super Mega Force. I did watch part of Dino Charge. I mean, at this point, I've actually watched all of the series. I can honestly say that I'm glad I didn't watch Samurai week by week. Thank God I didn't. I remember watching one episode of Mega Force. It was the one with Robo Knight. I believe that was the name of the episode, Robo Knight. And that's when the toxic pollution mutants came. And like, it felt like a bad, and I mean a bad mixture of Captain Planet and the Kite art during Wild Force. What was his name? Animus, when he became Kite and was preaching about pollution and stuff and how humans are destroying the earth. I'm just like, oh my God, this is awful. Dino Charge, I'm like, this is very refreshing. Ninja Steel, and I ain't really care for it. But then we talk about the fact that we're going to have an anniversary episode, and as bad as the legendary battle of Super Mega Force was, I'm like, okay, well, maybe this will be better. But then I actually sat down last night and watched the episode. Again, this was like the first time in years when I sat down to watch an episode of Power Rangers, a new episode, while it actually premiered for the first time. Like, this wasn't like I'll just catch it like later this week online or something like that. This is like, you know what? It's the 25th anniversary. I'm going to sit my behind down, get a bowl of popcorn, and enjoy the show. I did just that. But I honestly can't say I fully enjoyed it. I mean, let me just put it this way. I am not bashing the series at all, because being a longtime fan. But the thing is, I'm 20. Well, honestly, I was 26 yesterday. So, you know what I mean. I'm watching the show in a very different light than how I did as a kid. I know for National Power Ranger Day, I went back on Netflix and I watched the entire Psycho Ranger saga, if you will, of Power Rangers in Space. One of my favorite bad guys of the entire series. Excuse me, I took a sip of water. Look, it's like 92 degrees outside, and giving the air conditioning a break because it froze up, so it's kind of hot in the room while I'm recording. But I saw the previews for this. I was just like, okay, there are a lot of legendary Rangers that are coming back, so let's see if they can outdo Super Megaforce, which definitely did not set the bar high. Considering I haven't watched any of Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel, I am unaware if there were any lead-up episodes to this. I actually did watch one YouTuber's, the Disney Brain. Disney Brain, I think that's the channel name. Great channel, you should check it out, the Disney Brain. I think there was only one episode, which was the episode before this one, where there were hints that Legendary Rangers returned. They were like 3 Rangers in cloaks or something like that. Pretty much like Andros did from Power Rangers in Space, and then in Lost Galaxy, and then in Wild Force, like whenever Andros would show up, he's wearing the cloak and whatnot. It kind of looked like that, but I think his cloak was cooler. And it was Gemma from RPM, Wes from Time Force, and Coda from Dino Charge. And my first instinct is like, wait a minute. How the heck are they even here? I mean, Wes makes sense because, you know, he's in this universe. RPM is in a different universe. Dino Charge, don't even get me started on Dino Charge because that freaking mind-bending cliffhanger, well, finale of Super Dino Charge where they literally just effed up time. I don't even know how to begin to explain that, but yeah. So right as I'm about to just either change the channel or pause the TV so I can collect my thoughts, Wes talked about how the Time Force Rangers actually created these dimensional barrier remote controls where you can go through dimensions or something like that. And I'm like, okay, I guess that makes sense because they're from the future. Maybe they know something about some huge event that will happen in the present, so they'll need to warn all the Rangers. So they contacted Wes and sent back the devices. I let that slide. I'm like, okay. And then we get to Tommy, which was actually the opening scene. But I just wanted to talk about the fact that there are 3 Rangers that we knew of because we saw them in a previous episode. Tommy, I'm like, awesome. And he has the same house that he had in Reefside. Really gave me the Dino Thunder vibe. I'm like, you know, he drives back. And then here's where the episode kind of lost me because this is something that had me going, oh my God, during the first 60 seconds. Tommy's on the phone with somebody. It's like, oh snap, he got a boo now. Okay. Then he is like, hey, I told you about leaving your bike out here. Sorry. He has a freaking son. Wait, I think he has a son, right? I'm like, Tommy has a kid? He's married? Who did he marry? Who's the son? What's going on? And then these evil dudes show up, and I don't know the guy's name. It's like Drakion, basically Lord is it Draken? The guy from, look, I read the comics, the Boom Studios, Shattered Grid comics. Oh my gosh, I love those. But the name, all I could think about was Shattered Grid through the entire episode. It's like Shattered Grid is on a pedestal while this episode, it's like Shattered Grid is Frosted Flakes. This episode was like the generic Walmart or Food Lion brand of Frosted Flakes. That's pretty much what it's about to me. Tommy gets kidnapped. Then we switch back to, it makes me wonder what happened to his kid. Like, did the bad guys take Tommy away, create a robot clone, send it back, and then fool the kid into thinking that was Tommy? Or did they kidnap his son too? I don't know. But in any case, Wes tells the Rangers, hey, Tommy Oliver, we need to go see him. And it's like, oh, Tommy. And I'm just like, wait, how do they know about Tommy? So apparently they were told some Ranger lore off screen at some point. I don't know. But in any case, they go to Reefside. They go to his house. They look through the bushes, notice the bad guys are there. And it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, it makes sense they got Tommy because no Ranger would ever distrust Tommy. I was kind of like, oh, I think this is where we're riding the Tommy train a bit too much. Like, don't get me wrong. Look. Green with Evil, to this day, one of my favorite parts of the entire frame. I want to be honest here. Green with Evil Part 1 is my favorite, like just Part 1. But I can't just sit down and watch Part 1. Whenever I'm having a boring day and it's like I need some background noise when I'm editing videos, I have to watch all 5. Like, it's like those rare albums nowadays. Like, if you put it in, you got to listen to every song. No skips. You listen to every song. That's how I feel with Green with Evil. And when you watch Part 1, you just got to watch them all 5. But then the Rangers go to some dimension because this dude wants some arrows that can break through the dimensional barriers or something like that. What is it, like 3 arrows he has to shoot. It's like, when the sky turns red, I'll shoot my final arrow, and that'll be it. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay, then we get to like the 11-minute mark when they finally make it to the dimension, and then we discover there are a bunch of other Rangers on these tables that are being cloned for robots. Made me beg the question of, okay, first of all, why are these specific Rangers? Of course, outside of the episode, we know that it's like maybe these specific actors were available for filming. Maybe there were more, but they couldn't because they weren't available. I don't know. And this isn't me knocking any of the choices. I'm not saying that at all. I feel what really makes this episode stand out is the fact that we have Rangers from back in the day, like Rocky, Cat. Wait, I don't think we've seen them ever since, you know, they left the franchise back in like Turbo. Correct me if I'm wrong. So that was really good. Yeah, I know some people were complaining about Rocky being the Red Ranger instead of Jason. I honestly didn't have a problem with that. I'm not saying I wouldn't mind seeing Jason, but since we haven't seen Rocky in so long, I was completely fine with that. You know, the Rangers get there, then they're ambushed on the bridge. Tommy escapes, and then he's in the black Dino outfit. And that really confused me because in Dino Thunder, did we ever see the Rangers in Ranger form utilize the Dino Gem powers? It's like in their civilian forms, Tommy was invisible, Trent had camouflage, Connor had super speed, Kira had the Terror Scream, and Ethan had the what was it, like the Tyrannosaurus skin, where his skin could like turn into the Dino skin, kind of like armor, if you will. But I don't think they ever utilized that in their Ranger forms, but Tommy did. I mean, the fact that he was moving so fast that it seemed like he was invisible, I thought it was Trent, because you remember like the thing about 6 or extra Rangers, when they're first introduced, they're shown to have like super speed, but then as soon as they join the team, they don't really use it that much anymore. So I thought it was him, to be honest. But in any case, Tommy. Now the thing is, I remember seeing the commercial for this, and when they showed that brief scene of Tommy demorphing and he had his hands out, I was just like, I was thinking to myself, it's like, yeah, I'm the man, I'm here. Again, this is not me knocking Tommy, but I knew in my heart when I saw that moment, I'm like, this is when the episode is going to be all Tommy all the time. And to be honest, it was about Tommy the entire episode without the real Tommy being in there, except for like the opening minute. Then you have the robot Tommy, and then the Rangers, they split up. A group goes to rescue the other Rangers. A group goes to hide the arrow things. And what happens to the Rangers? Get their asses kicked by the Dracon dude. And what happens after that? Oh, yeah, around the 11 or 12-minute mark, because remember, I was watching this live, so there were commercials. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, is this like an hour-long special? Because if this is 20 minutes or 30 minutes, if you will, I don't think it's going to be that good, because look at how much you got to compress. Because I was waiting for that moment where, you know, everybody does their individual morph, and I'm like, the morphing alone for this many Rangers could take about half of an episode. So they rescue the other Rangers. Tommy has a pretty badass fight with the rope. Now, I do look, and I'm going to say this now. I did read reports and tweets and whatnot after the episode aired that allegedly there is an extended version of this episode. So I am looking forward to that, because there was a brief scene that was released, an extended clip where Tommy fights his robot doppelganger. And I believe in the episode, he went Zeo Red 5, White Ranger from Mighty Morphin. Then he finished the job as the Green Ranger. But in the extended clip, it was literally him going Black Dino Ranger versus Black Dino Ranger. And then he went to his other forms. And that was pretty damn cool. And when he burst out the Master Morpher, I'm like, this is what I get for watching Black Nerd YouTube channel, because he has it embedded in my brain now about toys. Like, everything is about selling toys. And I think Tommy tells the robot, it's like, look, without this Master Morpher, you're nothing but a cheap copy. And I'm thinking, is that what kids are going to be saying now? Is like, oh, you want to play Power Rangers? Yeah, I'll be the Blue Ranger. Well, if you don't have this Master Morpher, I studied communication in college, advertising, public relations. So that is how I watch these TV shows now. It's like, okay, what are they doing in terms of dialogue, showing the different weapons and whatnot. What are they really pushing on kids to buy? That's how I watch the shows now. In a pretty impressive fight, Tommy wins. Then the Rangers go outside. They find, oh no, a Ranger army. And I'm just like, there's only like 4 minutes left. I'm pretty sure I know how this ends. Then the Rangers show up and they morph. And I'm just like, yo, this ain't cool. I know I sound weird saying it that way, but I felt a bit disappointed. Like, you got Trent, you got Cat, I believe, like Trent, White Dino Ranger, Cat, Pink Turbo Ranger, TJ, Blue Space Ranger, Rocky, Red Mighty Morphin, Gemma, RPM. And I don't know if I can name them all. I'm just naming like the ones that just pop out. West, Time Force. You know, Tommy was in there, of course. That rhymed. And, you know, several others. And I thought that we would get the chance to see the individual morphs. But I remember once again looking at the clock. I'm like, yo, there's only 3 minutes left. I mean, and then they fight and they win. And I'm just like, yo, that was not really what I thought it would be. And here's the part where I knew that they were really pushing toy sales. When Tommy burst out, I was like, oh no, the last arrow. White Ranger. Then he has the Falcon Zord come out there and then take the arrow and shoot it back at the bad guy while the Rangers shoot their weapons in order to distract him. And I'm just like, yep, they're pushing that. But luckily enough, I do have a bunch of the legacy figures and Megazords and whatnot when Toys R Us had them before they closed. Never opened. I actually did open the White Saba Saber and the Dragon Dagger, but then I remember buying a second Dragon Dagger for $50 on sale. That's never opened. But I got the Dragon Zord, the regular one, the black and gold one. I got a few. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff unopened, but luckily I got the Falcon Zord too, as well as the Ninja Megazord from the movie. So I'm like, yep, I know Hasbro is probably going to be pushing Tommy toys, but best believe I'm buying that Mega Morpher. I'm buying that. Wait, Master Morpher, Mega Morpher? Yeah. Master Morpher? Yeah, Master Morpher. You'll probably come with the Dino coins. I mean, the, what? Green Ranger, White Ranger, Zero Red, and Black Dino Ranger. To be honest, remember that they probably should do the Red Turbo Ranger as well, because remember that Cat gave up the Pink Ranger powers to Cassie, who was shown as the Pink Space Ranger in the Legendary Battle. But then remember, Tommy gave up the Red Turbo Ranger powers to TJ, and then Lightning Cruiser showed up again in Power Rangers in Space. So it's very likely that he was given a spare Turbo Morpher in that vehicle, because he did use the Turbo Ranger powers during the Forever Red crossover event for Red Rangers. So, to be honest, with that Master Morpher, I don't see why he couldn't have the Red Turbo Ranger powers as well. But maybe it's like, you know, they really want to push that we're only promoting Tommy with the powers that were exclusive to him and him alone. I'm okay with that. But, you know, the fact that he had a Master Morpher, it really gave me Ben 10 vibes, you know, with the Omnitrix, where he can turn into different aliens and whatnot. That's what the Master Morpher really reminded me of, because all I could think about was the master control of the Omnitrix, where he can become multiple forms and stuff like that. That's how I felt about it. But I guess the clincher of the episode was the very end, when Brody, before going into the Dimensional Portal, said, "Now that was epic." And I'm like, no, it was not. I want to chalk it up to Brody. I do know the basic summary. I did watch like the first couple episodes of Ninja Steel. I know that as a kid, he was kidnapped and taken aboard the alien spacecraft. So I'll chalk it up to him. I'm just like, you know what, Brody? I'm going to let it slide, due to the fact that you were on an alien spacecraft for years on end. So your definition of epic and my definition of epic are probably two completely different things. Not bashing on the episode, I feel like I'm definitely going to watch the extended version. I believe they'll put that on Netflix at some point. I hope they don't wait until the entire Super Ninja Steel season is over. Then when they put everything on Netflix, that'll be on there as well. But this episode was a bit disappointing. The good parts were the fact that I do believe all of the Legendary Rangers got a chance to speak, unlike in Legendary Battle and Super Mega Force. I did like, I think Rocky was the one that's like, yeah, because Dracon's still around. And then Rocky was like, oh, Drakon, smack on. And I'm just like, I just love how casually they're talking about it, because it's just like, look, you guys are the new Rangers. The Ranger legacy is in good hands. You all got this. I did like that aspect of it. I think TJ joined in as well. Kat did too. And I mean, as a kid, I think Catherine was the reason I found out that I knew I love girls with accents, because of her Australian accent. Just seeing her on screen and hearing her voice again was amazing. So kudos for that. But I just wish we had some scenes with the legendary Rangers, like having Trent and Tommy talk. I mean, because, you know, finding out what everybody else is up to. Tommy's wife and child, like, who did he marry? Stuff like that. So maybe in the extended cut we'll know. I don't know if this would be explored upon in the comics, but in any case, this episode wasn't that great. It was great seeing a bunch of Rangers I haven't seen in quite some time outside of their respective seasons. But this episode definitely needed more than one, maybe a 2 or 3-parter, just more of an explanation on certain things, like how did these legendary Rangers know about Ninja Steel and stuff like that. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think of this anniversary episode? I mean, once again, I don't mean to be rude about it and stuff like that. I enjoyed it for what it was, being a fan of, especially being such a tremendous anniversary. I just feel like the execution could have been a lot better. That's all I'm saying, because there have been better crossovers before. But like I said, again, it was great just seeing a bunch of old Rangers again. Definitely can't wait to see what merchandise comes out of this. Master Morpher, best believe I'm buying that sucker. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And what did you do to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Power Rangers? So thanks so much for joining in. Definitely subscribe to the channel for more content, and I'll talk to you all soon.